All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Mulberry City Council for Thursday, August 20th, 2026. We're going to start with an invocation as a pledge, as we always do, so if you could stand if you're able. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the people that have gathered here. Please bless the decisions of this council, both tonight and in the nights moving forward. And thank you for all the blessings you give to us, and thank you for giving us the ability to live in such a great city. We ask this in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that will bring us to item D, which is our roll call. We're going to do it in the order of the districts. We'll start with District 1. We have Councilman Tim Sullivan, present. District 2, Michael Coker, that's me, I'm present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields.
Present.
District 4, Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick.
Present.
And then District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram. Present. All right, Madam Clerk, if you can notate all 5 council members are present this evening. That will bring us to item E, which is the mayor's opening comments. First off, I usually make this announcement at the beginning. We do have copies of the agenda on the podium. You will not offend me if you want to come up and grab one of those, follow along where we are so you can see where we're at. The only other announcement that I do have is our last meeting we did a proclamation for a gentleman by the name of Donald Heath, who was a Marine who served this country honorably just after World War II in the Philippines. And was a community leader. He has since passed, I've been told by the family. And so I just wanted to say that and thank everyone who was a part of that proclamation. That meant a lot to the family. They reached out to me to thank me and said, you know, they felt that it was a great honor for their father to receive that. So thank you very much for being a part of that. Does any of next we have the council's opening comments. Any of the council like to make an opening comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move right along. Item G, the city manager's opening comments.
I have a couple. So on August 12th, we held our first Lunch and Learn, and it was called Building Together. It was for contractors who were building in the area, working with our planning and zoning staff, learning how to use our system and work through SAGES. And so that was a major success, and thank you to my team and my planning staff and everybody else who helped put that on. We will be looking at, because part of the budget process, as y'all know, we have the first read tonight. There's also a requirement to have a meeting for the budget hearing during the day. We're looking to have that special call meeting. We're thinking about September 8th, but we will discuss that with you all as well. And then we are actually getting the City Hall sign installed. Yay. And so it will be installed tomorrow. Where you see the First Watch sign at the top of the building up here, it will now say City of Mulberry, City Hall. And that will happen to any of them tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
And then we mentioned this at Planning Commission last night, but the zoning cases that were heard at Planning Commission, we are looking at having those be heard for the second time at the October 1st meeting. We were looking at some other things that are going on, and so the September 17th meeting will not have any public hearings. We're discussing if there are actually any items that would be at that meeting and just move everything to the October 1st meeting.
So do you still plan to have the September 17th meeting, or?
We're in discussion about that because right now there are not any other outstanding items outside of the budget, and you know, with our budget actually starting on October 1, it would not be out of line to just have the final read after all the discussions that we have to have that last vote on October 1. We did actually that last year as well. I think the actual budget went into effect on October 2nd. So barring all of that, right, I don't think we have any other public hearing cases. The other thing would be the text amendment, but we can move that as well. So we're still in discussion. We'll let y'all know what staff's thoughts are.
Okay, thank you. All right, that will bring us to item H, which is a consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Is there any additions or changes to the meeting agenda this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to add the resolution activating the Downtown Development Authority for the City of Mulberry. We did that on the last occasion, but we have done some edits to just make it read better. It's still the same thing, but I would ask that we re-adopt it on tonight, and I'd ask that you place that on the consent agenda since you've already voted on it, and this is we just added an exhibit into it that needed to be in there.
All right, we have a request under item L, the consent agenda, from the city attorney to consider, is there a resolution number on that?
I have not asked to give one yet.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It is me that puts her on the spot, Mayor. We just got this from the bond attorney this afternoon, and we still had to do some more edits after we got it back.
Yeah, it's a new resolution number, or do the next resolution.
Looking at 67. So, 67.
0867.
All right, so we have a request by the city attorney to add resolution 0867, which is adoption of the DDA members and maps, or I guess re-adoption. Anything else from the council? Any other additions or changes to the meeting agenda for this evening? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to amend then the agenda for the Mulberry City Council for Thursday, August 20th, 2026, to add consent agenda LA, resolution 0867, a resolution adopting the DDA members and the official DDA map. Second, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, the amendment carries. And then I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council meeting agenda for Thursday, August 20th, 2026 as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? By a vote of 5, the agenda is hereby adopted as amended. All right, that brings us to item I, consideration of the August 6, 2026 meeting minutes. Is there any changes or addendums to those minutes? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I make a motion to adopt the August 6, 2026 City Council meeting minutes as presented.
Mayor Pro Tem has a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? By a vote of 5, the regular meeting draft, or regular meeting minutes for August 6, 2026 are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to item J, which is our public comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the section of public comments. We reserve 2 minutes per individual. The council does not typically respond to public comments, but we will listen very intently. The only thing we ask, if you come up, if you'd like to give a public comment, if you could say your full name, your address, and if you know the district in Mulberry where you live, say that as well, and we have a pad for you to sign. So is there anyone here who'd like to give a public comment this evening?
Got a question I'd like to ask.
So we typically reserve questions until after the meeting. Come up and ask us or ask the city manager. He'd be more than happy to help you with that.
You don't do it during the meeting?
We usually don't do questions during the meeting. If you want to make a comment, we'll listen to you, but we usually don't answer the questions until after.
You can ask the question, sir, and then, one of my staff members or myself can answer it, but they can't answer it.
Yeah, got you. My name's George Bostic, and I'm 644 Clark Trail, Tequila. And I'm off the fence road, and I don't know what district I'm in. I'd like to find that out. I've been trying for 8 months to get a permit to build a building on my property. And I'm just going around in circles and circles and circles and circles. It's cost me a small fortune, and I'm not getting anywhere with it. And I've got a letter of approval, then 5 days later, I get a letter of disapproval without any changes. So, I need some help with this. And I've talked with Jamie and Rebecca about this. They've been very helpful. They've tried the best they could, but I'm not getting anywhere. And it's cost me, like I said, a small fortune. I've been trying for, first came in December asking, what I had to do to get it, and never got any real clear guidelines. And I have had to redo plans, and I mean, it's constant. And as soon as I turn them in, 2 weeks later, enforcement will just have all that to be done. So what do I do? I know you can't answer, so I guess I'll talk to Jamie.
We'll talk to you. We'll,
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else like to give a public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comments under J. That will bring us, we don't have any reports and presentations under K this evening. That'll bring us to the consent agenda. A, Resolution 0867, adoption of the DDA members and the updated map. Do you want to add anything, or are you good with this? Okay. Then I will make a motion to adopt Resolution 0867 pertaining to the DDA members and the map under the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Or by a vote of 5, Resolution 0867 is hereby adopted. That will bring us to item M, a public hearing, the first reading of the City of Mulberry's fiscal year 2027 budget from October 1st, 26 to September 30th, 27.
Ken's gonna join me for this one.
Good evening.
Always looking good, Ken.
Thank you.
Sharp dress, right?
Yeah.
All right, so, as y'all know, we're getting close to the end of this fiscal year. So this is the first read of the budget proposal for FY 27. We're gonna go through this, and please let us know if you have any questions. And then, in between the first read and second read, we can make any modifications that council sees fit. Next slide. So, what we're proposing for this upcoming year is, a $14 million budget. This is an increase for a multitude of reasons, but as you all know, part of the largest reason is because we have elected to take over trash services. We have not finished negotiations, so we have not picked a vendor yet. These are really just the estimates that we put together, just like the estimates for our revenues. This shows also that we have, we've added to it worked out a deal with Gwinnett County and the tax commissioner to collect our stormwater fee for us. So this also includes the fee for stormwaters fee, and we'll get those funds this year, which total about $2 million, and we'll be able to discuss that as well. So next slide. These are our projected proposed revenues this upcoming year. Similar to last year, we will have about 1.5 mil in title ad valorem. We saw an significant increase in business license occupation taxes. So those revenues are looking very good across the board. So we need to make that adjustment for those. Insurance premiums, we're estimating about the same. Same with, the rest of our institutional fees, but increase in building permits. And then again, that is the sanitation services, but this is just a guess because we haven't finished negotiations. Next. Where we're at with the differences, this is, just showing that and Ken can explain the reason behind we see a drop in franchise and financial institutional fee estimates over last year's budget, but they're either about the same based upon where we were or what we actually brought in last year, our budget actuals, and then what we see as far as an increase in what our revenues are looking like in our projections.
Yes, last year, we projected the franchise fee for cable to be like $100K per quarter. It ended up being almost half that, about $56K per quarter. So we're just under, so that's why there's that difference there.
Next slide. So where we're seeing in our expenses, what we have taken a look at is the biggest thing that I want to point out too is when we had some discussions with you all individually and some other things, what we decided to do for some of the one-time expenditure fixes is to use our cash reserves. One thing I want to say is that the city has been very strong with out of the $4.3 million that we've received in insurance premiums. We have held very steady for 12 months with having $3.8 million in the bank in cash on hand, as well as made significant investments as far as going into Georgia Fund 1, and we did about $750,000 that we put into investment ventures, and that is in addition to still being able to maintain $3.8 million in cash on hand. So we found that it was appropriate that as we are still in this growth spurt of the city, to while we are starting to plateau some of the one-time expenses that we need to do to just go ahead and pull out reserves to cover those one-time expenses. So this is kind of a breakdown of our expenses year over year. Again, you're showing the difference in what we're looking at as reserves, is whereas last year we added 750 in restricted reserves, but we're pulling out of reserves for cash on hand, which is where you're seeing the difference of that $1 million. So when you take in the fact that last year we put in 750, we're dipping in below that to about the tune of 291,000. That makes up the difference of what would have been if we didn't do these one-time expenditures. So then, the maintenance and infrastructure line, this is where the miscellaneous stuff came from without having stormwater fees. We're doing a due to, due from that you will see, to where if it was a true stormwater expense, general fund will ask for those funds back from the stormwater fund. But as a general rule, usually if it's not anything like that, then we do not, we can't put money in the stormwater and pull it out without a due to, due from. So where this is coming from is maintenance and infrastructure is kind of your catch-all, because we don't have public works. This is where we're going to look at when Gwinnett County can't cut the grass. We're gonna cut the grass out of this money. Trash services will come out of this money. The sidewalk project that we did off of Sardis Church Road that we did the ribbon cutting for today, that will come out of this fund. So that's what that line item looks like. We're holding pretty steady on everything else outside of just your typical growth that we're seeing and doing and things that we need to do. One of the largest things when you start to see the employment stuff is I'm grateful for my staff, because they've been doing this without any retirement for me for about 18 months. But like everybody else, we need to start paying into the general benefits that you see at most municipalities. So that's where you start to see an uptick in that. Next slide, please. So there's a couple things here that I want to explain because this could give you a false sense of expenses if we don't tell the story. So when we look at how government audits are done, government audits, we always look at the general category. And so when we look at certain expenses, how we categorize them or code them in the GL, we have to put them in certain places on what that happens. So when you look at governing body, these were I think it was the software expense or something like that. Yeah, we got the consultants to help with our elections for next year, prepping for that, working with the county to get some of the data. That went into general government body. That fee was inside of the governing body portion, which we now have reduced to only cover council's fees outside of the mayor's fee, right? What's outlined inside the charter of what y'all are paying. We have found places that fit better for those categories, but last year, as we were building out the GLs in our first year, we needed to find a place for those things to go. You're seeing a reduction in accounting, you're seeing a reduction in legal, you're seeing a reduction in our data processing. Once we got OpenGov up and running, we're not paying the initial fee, we're now just down to our annual fee. You're seeing a reduction in the general administration fees, and again, that reduction really comes from we didn't have a pocket to stick certain things, so in working with our auditors, that's the GL that we needed to stick it in, and now we have a better place for that. Same thing with municipal court. Once we looked at what we're paying our judges, what we're covering our costs for it, software, everything else, we could see a small reduction in it, and even that may be a little bit up there from where our budget to actuals are, but just to be on the safe side for some things that we don't want to miss, that's there. Planning and zoning fee, you're seeing a reduction, and then again, the reserves. Next slide, please. So we wanted to start talking about stormwater because this is the first year where stormwater will not come out of general fund. So this is how it looks, right? Based upon, and we have not changed a thing, right? So our stormwater fee and the way that we did the budget is literally the information that when myself and our stormwater consultants met with Gwinnett County, we literally just copied their numbers. We didn't change the rate, we didn't change the credits, we didn't change anything else. We just simply said, this is what it is, and updated their spreadsheet and sent it back to them, right? So We are estimated to bring in, 2.06 million on the stormwater fee. When you break that down, there's inside our agreement with the county and the tax assessor, there's a fee for, just like every other city, to have it on the tax bill. That is roughly around, $45,000. Then the credits that we are giving to, property owners, honoring the credits that Gwinnett County already had, that is around 73,000, which leaves us an estimated 1.9 million, in usable funds inside of the stormwater fee. We have that broken down to, how we operate stormwater now. We're getting ready to start our MS4 reporting. We're getting ready to, we have operations on the ground now, which you can see in a little bit of construction work that we're doing. And so that really balances out the fund. Next slide, please. And so then here's the, condensed version, right? Here's what our budget to, revenues to expenses are. Overall, we are glad at the growth that we're having. We're glad that we were able to work with the, you all and the Public Safety Committee and, all the other, committees and, things that we've been discussing as we put this budget together over the last 3 months, really intensely for the last month. And so, we were able to get this balance and really make it work. Next slide. And so, again, this is the first read. Ken and I are here if you have any questions.
I have a couple questions, just quickly, and forgive my ignorance on some of this. So like the stormwater fees, is there any reserve requirement, Ken, for those? Like, do you have to have a reserve in the stormwater fund or no, in your stormwater?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay.
But I can investigate
Okay,
that.
I just didn't know. I know that with the fund balance and all that on the general fund side, we like to, I didn't know if there was a requirement on that. I noticed too, on the agenda for tonight, there's a proposed franchise fee for City of Beaufort. I didn't see that revenue. Is that just, we're gonna kind of
It's
deal
not.
with that when it comes in? Okay.
This is, so basically, the way that we designed this budget, this is the best that we could get out of every variable that is known.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about, whatever this franchisee agreement would be, if you all were so to approve it, there would be only 1 month of collection, and it's paid on an annual basis.
Okay.
So the way that works with the Beaufort agreement would be, we're in the month of September. We would need to send them some information as far as all of our streets so they can properly prepare for the map and look at what is actually within their jurisdiction for gas services. And then from there, they would say that, that would probably take them 30 to 60 days. Now we're in November, they would start collecting it in December, and then it's only paid on an annual basis. So then we would only get December's fees in February or February to cover 2026, and then in February of 2028, we would get all of the fees for 2027.
Got it, okay. But those are not accounted for because it's still speculative. We don't know how much they are, right?
It's speculative, and y'all haven't voted on it yet.
Sure, understood. Can you go to the final slide before the question slide for me?
Next slide.
Yeah, right there. So I see the revenue for sanitation, but do we have an expense line for sanitation? Is that in there or no?
It is encompassed inside of the maintenance and infrastructure.
Got it, okay, that's what I didn't know. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Anybody else in the council have questions?
Yeah, I had a couple. The reserves from the general fund, that was stormwater, right? Is that where we?
No, sir.
It's not?
No,
Okay.
sir. We pulled out of general fund, so can you go back a slide? Right there, right? So, no. I am looking for the slide that said expenses that has, infrastructure.
Give us that
Right.
one.
Right there.
No, I'm looking for the one that says
That one.
that one, right? So, if you see here on the maintenance and infrastructure line item in the 2026 budget, the $269,000, that's what we spent on stormwater.
Okay.
Right, so, we just allocated a certain amount of money towards it. And then we scaled on when we started doing projects to align with when the physical year would end to where we would come out at zero for that amount. As we start looking at what that goes up to and including taking over trash services and those fees, that's where we look at doing the budget at around expenditures of 3.6.
Okay, got it.
But that does not include stormwater in FY '27. Stormwater has its own line item now, and that's the 2 million, and we do plan on using all 1.9. The reason why you're not seeing reserves in stormwater is because I'm paying general fund back that $269,000.
Understood. And on that line item right there, maintenance and infrastructure, does that include, what's all encompassed in that? So we have, like you said, grass, mowing the grass, taking care of stuff. Mainly though, it's the trash service, right?
It's primarily trash services.
Okay.
But that's, again, that's an estimate because we have not brought a contract to y'all, so I wanna be very clear about that, right? We're just giving you a best guess on the information that we have so far from the two people that you all authorized us to start negotiating with. We have not finished those negotiations, and so I'll just leave that part at that.
Gotcha. And then you've got, actually on that slide right there, you've got city marshals on the 27 budget. And there's the number there, that 1.109. In the GL code 3210, you've labeled it Marshals Administration, so I can only assume that that's a bunch of other stuff in addition to personnel. Right?
Correct.
Yes, so the way that, again, if you will go back to, yeah, well, not the department, yeah. No, we're going the wrong way. You're going towards revenues, I didn't see it's expenditures, right?
Yeah, that's.
So that one right there,
Yeah.
that's how we code the GLs.
Gotcha.
So when we look at it on our end and when the auditors look at it, that's how we identify it, right? 3210 is how like y'all call it marshals, right? It's 3210 to me when I talk finance. That's everything included from the taxes that are paid, the employees, their vehicles, the maintenance for it, all that's encompassed in that number.
And the difference between that number and the previous number, the 1 point whatever, the reason I'm just going down this path is because I know we just had the public safety committee meeting, we talked about kind of needs from a public safety perspective, and one of the things that popped up was making sure we have the right level of personnel and staff and then Marshall's team, so I just want to make sure that I'm real clear.
Yes, sir. So inside of that includes the payroll to add 7 new staff
Gotcha, okay, so that's
move.
what I
Yes,
thought,
sir.
just wanted to make sure, okay, gotcha. And the last question for you is, so I know at our retreat where we talked through the stormwater stuff, you know, and this has come up in some of the discussions, that can sometimes be a large cost, depending on the age of the infrastructure and kind of what happens. Has our cost experience over the last 12 months been reasonable with kind of what we expected versus what we ended up servicing in terms of the expense? Or were you surprised by more expense, less expense? I'm just curious to get your perspective.
I don't know how to answer this without really giving kudos to myself and my staff and the consultants.
That's okay. Give
Right,
yourself-
right.
That's
Like
okay.
this is a pat on the back moment
Yeah.
because this is one of those things that really could have got out of hand.
Sure, yeah.
I think being very realistic with you all, I think that probably in 2 to 3 years, we need to have a real conversation about a rate increase.
Mhm.
But I think that the way that we manage that program, and Kelly's the one who heads up, you know, working with the consultants on stormwater projects and the construction stuff, the way that we've managed that program so far, we are very cost effective.
Okay. And just to be clear, when you say that, maybe some background that is helpful is the impervious surface calculation right now that Gwinnett uses hasn't changed in how long? 5 years?
No, sir, way longer than that.
Longer than that?
I
Okay.
don't think if I remember correctly, at the last rate increase, so in my mind, I would just to be safe, it's somewhere between 2009 and 2015 was the last time they did a rate.
So we're just talking about the ability for us to handle water runoff from impervious surfaces, and so we know, because we've had some of these calls from citizens where stormwater gets backed up, and then we gotta send crews out there to address it, so it can be an expensive endeavor.
Yes, sir.
But I know and I just wanted to validate this, through some of the work y'all have done staff-wise, our cost experience versus what we thought we were gonna have like sometimes we were talking about $100,000 to fix a minor, what could be a minor issue, but through some of your methods and having good partners, it seems like we've been lower on the cost.
Yeah, so, and, you know, we discussed this beforehand, we got a quote one time for something that was, $99,940.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever negotiated with my deputy, but, you know, she was able to get some other quotes that brought that down to about 40.
Yeah.
And so, it's things like that,
Yeah.
that we've been beneficial to work for and work with.
So overall, you're pretty happy
Overall,
with the cost
I'm
experience?
very happy with the cost
Okay.
experience, but again, that is me reserving the right to say that in a couple of years, I will probably be coming to you all and looking at a rate increase. Right now, it's a rate of $2.46 per 100 square feet of impervious surface. This also aligns with conversations that we have from the county. So this is not us just saying, you know, we need a rate increase. The county stormwater department is also talking about the same thing.
Right, it's also in their planning to.
It's in their planning to eventually go up to $2.50 per 100, and then eventually in, you know, the next 10 years, they're talking about $3.45. And so I think that we may move a little bit faster, right? Because we have an older area. One thing that is, and this is just from my experience, right? In newer areas or areas that have redeveloped inside of Gwinnett County, you have RCP or reinforced concrete pipe up under your roads. This is an older area, so you see a lot of corrugated metal. And those are things that need to be replaced because they age, right? So we're very mindful of that. The county's actually been helpful with us with their DOT, and I do want to give them a shout out for that because right now they're paving in our area. And so they've been, anything inside the right of way, inside the road, inside the asphalt, the county's actually been replacing it. If it's a stormwater issue, and then calling us and saying, hey, we need you to do the catch basins and everything from the curb and gutter out. But, you know, this was us not taking LMAG money this year and them paving our roads and doing that this year. So next year, similar to grass cutting right now, I don't see that level of service.
Gotcha.
I have a couple of requests for the next presentation possibly.
Yes, sir.
Could we include, do we have a CIP, capital improvement plan, or, any type of capital purchases for the next fiscal year? That we can look at that on paper, and then additionally, I'd like to just see, forecasted, additional positions being added to the city. Just on paper in front of us as well.
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and tell you that we are looking at, like I said beforehand, some post-certified and civilian positions in our marshal's office, just to help from additional coverage. We are adding a in-house GIS manager to help with maps. That will help us and some of our requirements. One thing that we've been thinking about is notices and that go out to the public about public hearings. And so we would like to have the ability for us to do that instead of putting that on the developer, so that people know that, you know, it'll have the Mulberry seal, they know it's official and not junk mail. So it's things like that that are included in this budget, but we can definitely itemize that. And that comes with having a GIS manager.
Yeah, let's just see those in front of us,
Yes, sir.
those two things.
Any other questions from the council?
Just a quick one, excuse me, how about a GIS associate instead of a manager?
I'm calling it the title, but really and truthfully, it's the, if you look at a general scale, it would be the equivalent of a GIS analyst 1.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, 'cause it seems like that's all you really need at this point, okay.
Yeah, it's if we were comparing apples to apples, it's a GIS analyst 1. But we also would have that person kind of oversee our IT contract, because there are some improvements that we were working on making there.
Cool.
Any other questions?
All right, this will conclude the first read of the City of Mulberry's fiscal year 2027 budget. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
Public hearing, right?
Yeah, we have a public hearing.
It's a public.
Oh,
hearing.
there is a public hearing. Okay, I apologize. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a public hearing component. Is it 10 minutes per side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a public hearing requirement for this first read for the City of Mulberry's fiscal year 2027 budget. We divided 10 minutes for those that want to speak in favor of the budget, 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition. So we will open the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of the budget. Is there anybody here who would like to speak in favor of this budget? All right,
hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of the budget. Was there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition of the Mulberry fiscal year 2027 budget? Mr. Hughes, come on.
Mayor, I don't want to speak, I do have a question, and it concerns the lawsuit against the city of Mulberry and the concerning SB 138 and the stormwater section on that. If the court reverses, if it strikes down SB 138, how will that affect the stormwater budget in the coming year?
Can I answer that, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Sir, I honestly don't think that it would affect it because we have an agreement signed with the county. Cause it's a three-party agreement to collect the stormwater fee. So just like any other instance, like the SB 138 is a transition document. We are also separately working with the county on a couple other IGAs. And so I just think that that is something that they've already agreed to and signed a contract on.
Well, the thing that I'm thinking about is the dam at Duncan Lake and the two stormwater retention in Hamilton Mill. And if currently that has been put back on to Gwinnett County, but if that changes, then the city of Mulberry will be responsible for those structures. And if I'm not mistaken, there's projection of a significant cost to those three structures for the repair and maintenance of.
In our discussions with the county, some of that is a pass-through repair, and so we would have to take a deeper look into that, but I am not as concerned about if something were to happen. But right now, the county is taking responsibility of it, and they're still managing it.
All right, we have about 9 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Does anybody else want to speak in opposition of the budget for fiscal year 2027? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in opposition of fiscal year 27 budget. That will conclude the first read of the City of Mulberry fiscal year 2027 budget. Thank you. All right, we have no discussion item N for tonight, no first reads O. That brings us to item P, the second read of ordinance 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026-06-1420. Applicant Jake Sellens, owner of Rajav Sheath, request a zoning of the RA 200 zone property at 1800 Holman Road.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. We have looked into the comments that we discussed at the last meeting, mostly related to the elevations as well as the trees, and have presented for you in your packets and in the adopting ordinance some amendments to our recommended conditions. The first, we removed Exhibit B as a conditioned exhibit. That Exhibit B were the elevations, so that allows the ordinance architectural standards to govern as opposed to those specific elevations, as well as the remaining four that we've got circled here in this box, all related to the trees and then the orientation of the front facade. So 7, 8, and 9 are all related to the trees, making sure that we maintain as many trees as possible on the lot outside of the buildable area and within the buildable area, so that they're just removing those trees that are necessary to place the homes themselves. And then the last one, requiring that the architectural front facade be oriented toward that private drive. So that is everything that we've added since the first read, and so I'm here for questions, comments. There is no additional public hearing that was had at the last meeting. So it's on your on your agenda today for adoption or final decision.
All right, any questions for staff about this proposal?
Was the applicant okay with these additional conditions?
We did send them to the applicant. Are you amenable to the?
Yeah, I think the only one was number 10, we wanted a front facing northeast, north or northeast, so.
North or northeast.
All the other ones are okay.
Could you scan up to the site plan? Okay. So oriented northeast is what they, so this is plan. So toward Holman Road. is essentially where they would be oriented.
So that would be in direct opposition to what condition?
The
number 10?
staff condition, that's right.
Gotcha. All 4 homes oriented towards Holman Road?
Any other questions for staff?
I have a quick question, if you go back to the, can you go back to 7, 8? Yeah, on 7, so I know we talked about kind of maintaining tree cover. What's the practical implications of that language? Because I see it's Exhibit A, et cetera, but like what is did we increase the tree coverage at the road or maintain it? It's similar, like, I guess what's the impact of that?
Sure. So what these conditions do is preserve the tree cover that's on there today instead of mandate any additional plantings. So there is no additional plantings proposed as a function of these 3 added amendments. It's just preservation of what's there today.
And did we, from a buildable lot perspective, because I see outside of the buildable area, did we constrain the buildable area to increase coverage?
So that one's related to buildable area, so strictly limiting it. Within the buildable area, we said that you've got to provide tree protection fencing, and that during the site plan review process, it's going to be the minimum necessary to construct those structures.
Gotcha. So if we were to, I guess, just to put a finer point on this, if we were to drive down Holman Road and they have their LDP and they're moving dirt, how far back is tree coverage from Holman Road to where they have now begun to take the trees out?
Can you go back up to the area? Yeah, there you go. So it maybe, some dimension in where the tree cover starts, and all of that's gonna have to be preserved unless there's a proposed structure and affiliated topography or, construction on it.
Because that structure that's there is obviously getting taken out.
Raised.
There's gonna be a driveway that comes down.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's tree cut, because there's obviously a neighbor to one side and neighbor to the other. So they'll have, I don't remember what the ordinance says, but I mean, we have 8 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet, how much is there?
Will you go one more down? So the buildable area is defined as what's inside what's in the, so you've got the setbacks.
Yeah, I
That's
see that.
not the buildable area. So no trees can be removed where there's not even a building allowed to be there, if you will.
Yeah.
And then inside, it's just to affect the applicable construction. And then, of course, the rear of the site is also protected by stream buffer.
Got it. And does this, I mean, do you feel like this, what was the planning commission's recommendation on this?
So planning commission did not see these added conditions. They had the lighter requirements that just said, I think it was just a buffer on the edges adjacent to the property, was what we added as a function of the conversation at planning commission. So that was even added post planning commission meeting.
Right. And is there any feedback we've got from the neighbors on either side of these properties?
No, we've not received additional.
Just curious.
If I may.
Yeah.
We had neighbors who came and they spoke in support of this project.
Oh, okay.
One even at,
What's that?
it was kind of funny, one even offered to sell them.
So I guess from a staff perspective, just to, cause sometimes with the language in here, it can get really dense, right?
Sure.
And so we just kind of go back to the layman's principle on this. If we said the city of Mulberry wants to be a place that maintains good tree coverage and is good, from an ecology and conservancy perspective, does this site as specified, does it meet that?
Yes, it gives us the ability to regulate that at permitting.
Gotcha, okay.
I have a quick question. So if we were to make or approve this ordinance, this rezoning, and the applicant does not want condition number 10, but condition number 10 is written into this, do we need to have some discussion amongst the council?
just because they have some objection to it, it might be good to get an understanding for why they have an objection to it and determine whether or not you want to incorporate it or not.
Okay. Could we hear from the applicant on?
Yes. Yeah, so the purpose of northeast is primarily, there are some requirements like feng shui and, just the light coming, natural light coming on two sides of the homes and everything else. But that was the main reason why. It just seen as more appropriate to be northeast facing and not east-west facing. That was the primary. So all the windows and everything would be more on the east-west side. The front of the house would be more northeast, primarily.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir, appreciate that.
I have one real quick one for Rebecca. When you say you can't cut down trees except for the buildable spot, so if there's a tree that's this big and it's 3 feet away from the house, will they have any yard?
They'll be able to, to be able to put in the foundation, to do grading, there's gonna be necessary,
Okay.
adjacent to the lot that they'll need to remove.
I used to sell houses in their backyards with this steep, it was horrible. You got land, you wanna play in it.
Any other questions for staff? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-08179, as presented with staff recommendations.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the ordinance 2026-08197. Time for discussion. I guess I'm not opposed to that all facing the road. I don't think that that's gonna be a huge deal. Do y'all think that's a deal breaker?
My only concern is we're not, if I understand correctly, we're not constraining the elevations, so we're not like defining, is that correct? So there's no so for instance, if there's no commitment except for them to follow the architectural standard. It's not conditioned upon a perspective elevation, right?
No, so he's talking about the front, where the front facade faces. So right now, condition 10 stipulates that they face the private drive
Correct.
instead of Holman Road, so it would constrain them that way.
Yeah, I think what I was gonna say was, we're not,
It's in front of the house.
we don't know what the structures are gonna look like, right? So we don't know what they will look like, and so that may be before we saw an elevation, but we're not conditioning upon that elevation.
But I think the point of condition 10 is saying that the staff had recommended that they all face the private drive. So I understand you don't know what they look like, but the front door will face the private drive. We have a request from the applicant for them all to face the road. I guess my position is that I don't think that's a deal breaker for me. And if that's what the applicant wants, I think we consider giving it to them unless you guys have a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I've seen it done in unincorporated Gwinnett, there's a couple of enclaves that are being that way. And I think they've got to consider, okay, some of our houses, front yards are gonna face the other houses' backyards. 50 years down the road, people pass away, people move, you wanna sell the house, it's gonna be harder to do. That falls down. You make a decision, I wanna line the houses up, it'll be harder to sell, but do we wanna get that intensely aggressive and say, you must do everything this way?
No, I certainly don't. My only concern is sometimes when we see these structures, because there's a few of these that we've seen probably, not only in our the municipality of Mulberry, but in some other places, and the orientation of these structures. Here, it's theoretical, but once because I don't know what is the footprint on these buildings? It's like, they're big buildings, right? Build big structures.
I think, was it 5,000?
Yeah, it's 5,000 to 6,500 square.
5,000, okay, so they'll be, relatively large structures, and sometimes you drive by and you're like, wow, that's an interesting choice, I just wanna try to avoid a scenario where we have that, does the applicant feel like if we constrain them on orientation that changes the scope of the project? Or do you feel like there's architectural, because we're not You know, we're not saying the structure can't have windows in certain areas. I mean, that's your architectural prerogative, how you do that. And so I guess the question is, do you feel like this becomes a challenge for you?
Yeah, no, I think we can, do either north, northeast, or east is fine.
Okay.
Either of those directions are okay.
Because you could kind of structure your architectural plans, you just wouldn't have a front door on one side, you might have, right? I mean, so, because we certainly don't want to be punitive, it's just, I think sometimes you get scenarios that you have unintended consequences and you look at stuff and
Understand.
kind of think through that.
Any other discussion from the council? All right, we have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2026-08179 as presented with all 10 conditions. So I will call a vote on that motion. All in favor? All opposed? All right. Ordinance 2026-08179 as presented, which includes all 10 conditions, is hereby adopted. All right, that will bring us to item PB, a second read of ordinance 2026-08180.
Mayor and council, this is just second read of the change to the administration, City of Mulberry, clarifying the powers and technical revisions of the marshal's office, clarifying that they are post-certified officers that will have the powers of arrest and of the penal statutes of the state of Georgia and the federal government.
All right, any questions for the city attorney about ordinance 2026-08180? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-08180 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, ordinance 2026-08180 is hereby adopted. All right, that will bring us to second read of ordinance 2026-08180. Ordinance 2026-08181, an agreement granting a franchise to the city of Beaufort for use of public streets.
Is that the number you have on this?
Yes.
I have an older number on that. Mayor and council, this is a case, this is the ordinance that you wanted to make sure that there was not an individual, franchise fee that was going to be assessed to citizens of the city of Mulberry, and it was unclear in the prior ordinance. We created some more language on this ordinance. We sent it over to the city of Beaufort city attorney. He has agreed to the change, and we have added that the franchise fee shall not be separately assessed or charged to individual customers within the city of Mulberry. I believe that took care of the question that the council and the mayor had on the last occasion. Otherwise, it's all the same.
All right, any questions for the city attorney for ordinance 2026-08181? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this ordinance.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-08-181.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Ingram. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, ordinance 2026-08181 is hereby adopted. All right, we do not have any action items queued. That brings us to executive session. Are we going to executive session tonight?
Yes, sir, I need to have an executive session with you all to discuss real estate matters.
Okay. We have a request from the city manager to discuss real estate matters in executive session. Is there any other items for executive session this evening? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and explain to everybody. For those of you that don't come regularly, this is when we go into an executive session. There's certain topics that state law allows us to discuss in private,
The city manager has asked us to discuss a real estate matter this evening, so we will go back there. We will come back in and adjourn, and if there's any matters from executive session, we'll take those up. But this would be a good time, if you are ready to leave, this would be a good time to go. But obviously, you're welcome to stick around, all right? At this time, I make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing real estate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? By a vote of 5, we hereby go into executive session.
All right, at this time I make a motion to end the executive session for purposes of discussing real estate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, the executive session is hereby ended. This time I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, we're hereby adjourned. Thank you.